Today on Us Weekly's Reality Recap, Tom Sandoval defends Raquel attending a mental health facility, while James Kennedy hopes their relationship lasts. Then we check in on Corey Kiefer from Summer House, who gives us an update on where Carl and Kyle stand.
When you hire one of your best friends, which I've done in the past, it's hard to separate friendship from like business. And it's like, hey, I love you as a friend, but business-wise, we're not doing well, so let's separate that.
Plus, Danielle and Lindsay's friendship is breaking down on Summer House. We got that plus so much more on today's Reality Recap. Hey guys, Christina Garibaldi here with Us Weekly Deputy Editor Sarah Heron. Sarah, welcome to Reality Recap. You're filling in for Mandy this week, and oh, what an episode of Vanderpump.
I'm so excited to be here. Usually I'm just in like Bachelor worlds, but I'm a huge Bravo fan, and this season of Vanderpump Rules is just everything and more. So I'm ready to follow your lead.
I am so excited. Before we get into it all, let's see what you guys had to say about last week's show. Tracy said Tom and Raquel are losers, period. How can friends betray friends like this with no remorse? Have lost all respect for the two of them. Can't they find other guys or girls who aren't in the friend group? They all need to grow the hell up. I mean, I think this is a question we've been asking ourselves for a while. Why can't they just date somebody outside the friend group?
I know, it's so crazy. And even, especially because on Bravo, I feel like more so than maybe even other shows, you bring someone into the fold, they get to like become part of the friend group too. So it's like, let's get some new blood in here and then we can keep it going. But like it's crazy.
It's insane. Kim says, since they waited so long for the reunion, I'm moving on. It's getting predictable and boring. I think you may have changed your mind after last night's episode.
I know. It is weird. They filmed the reunion over a month ago now, but it's a double-edged sword because at one point, like they got them when the emotions were hot. Like it was like within 2 weeks or 3 weeks of the scandal, they were all still finding out information. So I think it's going to be good, but it is hard because of things we learned now and also like the interest. I don't know if they could really win with that one.
I don't think so either. I don't know. It's really hard. Then Judy says, here's a good word for describing Tom. Booga Wolf learned it on New Jersey Housewives. Totally agree with you. Love that. Crossovers. I love it. All right. Well, let's get into the news. Tom Sandoval appeared visibly upset speaking with TMZ and said that Raquel is in a mental health facility. He said, whether she decides to tell you where that is after the fact, that's where Raquel is. No visitors, no friends, no family, no phone, no nothing. Now, he slammed Peter and Dana, claiming that Raquel was actually at a spa, instead adding they have absolutely no idea what's going on. But even though there was no phones, no communication, he did say that Raquel is doing great after seeking treatment. And of course, her decision to go to this mental health facility was after Sandoval became public. He was visibly upset until that TMZ paparazzi said that he was a celebrity. And he's like, you know what? You're right.
Let's go. This is my band. We're on tour. No, I mean, the mental health stuff is so tricky because obviously like no one wants Raquel to do something that she would, can't take back. And I think it's almost a low blow. Like, could she be at a spa? Potentially. Does it make you look like a good or better person to make fun of it? No. She's getting enough hits. Like, there's easier things to poke at to, say that this is unacceptable behavior. I think you leave that out of it. And I think, like you said, Tom's demeanor, it says everything you need to know. Like, there's not even an reason to comment on it. Like, watch the video yourself and realize that this man is a narcissist.
Oh my God. He is like eating this up. Like any negative press, good press, bad press, anything in between. He is kind of loving this, and it's really scary. And it's like, I can't believe Ariana, stayed with this for so long. It's like, I wonder what was going on. I don't know. I can't figure this out. Like, it's just so crazy to me. He just led everybody on. He really did.
Yeah. I think sometimes when you're on a show and get so wrapped up in like a friend group and like this is their life, like looking back, obviously it's so easy to be like, look at all these signs, even the Kristen stuff, like the way he acted with her, even though they like both cheated, there's so many similarities and it's like patterns of behavior. And while you do have the added bonus of getting to watch yourself on TV, you think you learn from it. But instead, I think you like freak out over it. You talk it through at a reunion, you move on. And I think that's why Tom and Kody were together for so long too. It was habit.
Yes, it was habit. But Lala spoke out, said that Ariana is doing great. She kind of like had this weight lifted off her shoulders a little bit now that they're not together anymore. And he doesn't have the anxiety. She's having fun with her new boyfriend. I wouldn't call him a boyfriend, but somebody that she's having fun with, and good for her. You know, she seems like she's living her best life, going to White House Correspondents' Dinner. Like, get it, girl.
Like, literally what is happening, Vanderpump Rules is completely mainstream. It used to be, I feel like, this little, almost like guilty pleasure that people like talked about Housewives, but I feel like people didn't want to even admit that they like were going to SUR, get a glimpse of Peter. Like, now it's like front page news and the White House is involved. Like, does Joe Biden know who Sandoval, does he know what that means?
I don't know, but I would love to find out. It's just so crazy that, you know, we've been talking about this for almost 2 months now, and the interest is still so strong. I mean, even for me, like anything that I can like read or, you know, learn about, it's just so fascinating. I don't know why. I don't know why people are so invested in this. It's taken the media and everybody by storm.
It really has. And I know we're going to get into the episode soon. I'm so excited. But James Kennedy was on Watch What Happens Live after the episode. James is just such a treat these days. And he had a little bit of an unexpected answer when he was asked about Raquel and Tom's future together following their affair. So Andy asked whether the twosome will last, and he said, in a weird way, I hope so. And this explanation didn't really make sense, but it's very James Kennedy. He said, because just think about the dreams they're going to have in each other's bed and all the dramatic shit they're going to go through as a couple. If they survived each other and go through it, hats off. He added that he was speechless by the scandal, but did admit that his ex-fiance was always a big Sandoval fan, massive. He played pretty coy about the reunion, kind of just said, you have to wait and see. But he did, you know, when Andy kind of hinted at the reports that he was one of the more passionate cast members, James said, you know, he had things get off his chest. He doesn't take to social media to do it, even though he was the first one to post the affair on social media.
He was.
But he did say, I had to get it out. I had to let him know. Yeah, can't wait.
James was amazing on this episode of Watch What Happens Live. I loved him so much. And it was so interesting when he was saying, though, too, like when the scandal broke, he said that Ariana texted him at like 1:00 in the morning. And, you know, he was like, which Tom is this? And she's like, it was my Tom. Like crazy, like the chain of events that must have happened within like this group chat, or like just the text messages and the phone calls that must have happened between this friend group. It must have been something to like, something to say. I wish I was a fly on the wall in all this.
No, 100%. You could tell Andy was like, keep going. Like, who called who next? Like, it was giving when we found out that like Larsa Pippen was the one to call Kim when Kristen kissed Jordan, and then like Kai, like who called who there. And with similar to a Kardashian situation, there's just so many connections and layers with Vanderpump. So it's like, you can only imagine Ariana going through the list, like maybe calling her own friend, but then it's like, okay, who does this affect directly? The list is endless. I got to get through the phone tree, and also just in this panic of like, what's going on, and wanting revenge, but also wanting to cry. And like, it's just, I wish there was cameras rolling then, but I feel like they're going to do a good job of recapping it for us.
I mean, I gotta ask you, do you hope that Tom and Raquel like stay together?
No. I mean, I kind of hope that they are naive enough to think they can go into filming a season. Part of me wants to see that, but another part of me just feels like it's going to get so mean and nasty and not realistic. Like, these people wouldn't be hanging out. I mean, you're going to have like Tom Schwartz as the connection, right? Because he's never going to write off Sandoval. Mm-hmm. So the future of the show, when something like this happens, does hang in a very delicate balance, because as kind of what we're seeing in Summer House, sometimes when people, you know, do get to a different point in their life where they do genuinely dislike each other and it's never going to work, it's awkward to watch on screen. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's too fake. So I don't know what I want to happen. I just want the show to be good. So whatever is best for the show is what I want.
Right. I totally agree with you. Whatever's best for the show. But I feel like maybe they have to start the season maybe together, because it's like, what else? I mean, I don't see me being interested in just looking at Raquel's life by herself. And same with, you know, I don't know, maybe for a little bit, but like you said, it's not sustainable. They're not going to be able to be on the show for that long.
It's also funny because like we think now they could never forgive anyone for this, which like they shouldn't, right? But this is a show that was built on cheating scandals. And if you go back, every single broken friendship always made amends at some point. And it's insane to believe, but like, would I be shocked if in a couple of years somehow like Scheana and Raquel are friends again? Yeah. That Tom Sandoval keeps his way back in? Like, it seems crazy now, but there's not been one scandal that actually broke up this friend group.
So true. Like if the Kristen, Tom, Jack, the whole thing, if that couldn't do it, like, I don't know, maybe, but years down the line from now, we'll have to wait and see. Scheana said that Tom also lied to Ariana when his grandmother died. It seems like the lies that this guy spewed is just out of control. And so let's get right into it. I mean, that moment on Vanderpump when a producer asked him point blank, have you ever hooked up with Raquel? And it was beyond awkward. Oh, no, with a smile on his face.
No, that grin is like haunting. It's so uncomfortable. It's not okay. He's like loving that he's getting away with something. That's when you know. And as you said, like the things it sucks so much because Ariana, not that, no one's perfect, but of all things considered, overall, come off pretty much unscathed on the show over the years. When Kristen and Tom were going through their stuff, they both treated each other horribly. And he definitely said things that were not okay, but she also was making some crazy, like everyone, it was almost like mutual, like evil against evil on this show in the past. Even like Stassi and Jax, like Stassi admitted years later, like she was sleeping with Frank. Like everyone kind of was equally horrible. Ariana seems to be the exception to the rule. And on these episodes, when we're watching her struggle with her dog die, now her grandmother has died. Like it's truly impossible to wrap your head around, and watching it play in real time when we know that that Raquel and Tom kissed for the first time at the beginning of August. We're in September now, seemingly, because that's when Lala's birthday is. And those interviews also are filmed throughout the whole like fall while they're doing this. So to watch him do that was shocking. And even throughout the episode, like you just know he's planting those seeds when he's opening up to Schwartz about how Ariana's like dismissive of him. Like, what is that? That's all fake.
No, I make her a latte every morning and she doesn't reciprocate. Like, come on.
Dumpling latte. I hope she put a scorching hot one like on his face the way James threw a drink at Schwartz.
Seriously. And Schwartz 100% knew at this time, because when he was like, I get a feeling that Raquel has a crush on somebody else. Like, come on. You guys
This is how we know this show isn't fake, because Sandoval's a bad liar and Schwartz is a bad actor.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. But the fact that like he is doing this and also going through the process of like fertilizing the eggs, like going and doing like the sperm, like you are a garbage human being to go through all of this. And like, whether or not they were going to have kids or not, but like still planning a future together, of some sort of future together. And to do all that while you're having sex with her best friend behind your back, like you are a terrible, terrible person.
It's so true. And that the freezing of the eggs thing is such a like curveball for me, just because we've seen Ariana so many years talk about how she didn't really want to get married, didn't really want to have kids. But then obviously maybe she felt the pressure of getting older. So she did freeze her eggs. She could afford to do it. But now to bring this up at this time, like it's so bizarre, and just makes it like another like shot to the heart, a dagger. Like she would have no idea that this guy who she's considering maybe even doing something she's not totally sure because she thought he wanted to do it too, is just not cool. But my favorite part of this episode is something that I've loved about Vanderpump Rules from the beginning, and that's Scheana Shay. Every season, the editors find a way to troll Scheana. It's not even like, it's insane if you go back from the beginning. She's such a gift. When she said that she would trust Brock in bed with Raquel, in what world? In what world?
In what world? And then, of course, now with all those rumors going around that Brock and Raquel hooked up, James Kennedy said he didn't believe it either on Watch What Happens Live. I don't really believe it, but the fact that she says that, and the fact that like, oh, Kody and Lala think that she'll always go after like guys that are taken, like, oh, Scheana, all these comments come back and just bite you right in the ass. It's interesting. I really like Allie. I think that she's great. And Allie, I thought was interesting because she was the only one that actually wanted to go to Ariana about Raquel and Tom at the Abbey and being like, this is kind of strange. It seems like everybody was like talking around it, but nobody actually went to Ariana and was like, so this is happening. What do you think about it?
I feel like the girls have an interesting relationship with Ariana because she has always been obviously close to Tom Sandoval, but even Tom Schwartz, and Ariana does a good job of like kind of trying to be friendly with everyone. And we saw her earlier this season, even like defending both kind of everyone against Tom Sandoval. Like, I don't want this to be Tom like coming at the girls. And it's a weird thing to navigate. And she's always done a great job. But I think maybe here, because she's going through so much and because they've maybe made comments in the past, like Sandoval's close to whoever, and she brushes it off. They didn't want to be the ones to like stir up a pot for no reason. And then instead, Kody kind of still gets blamed for hinting at this open relationship situation, which Katie's denying she said that, and maybe she did. But I believe Allie that she implied that there was something off there. So I think Allie is handling this well. And I think it's kind of crazy that she's our like whistleblower of all people.
I know. I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Kody like said something along the lines, whether or not Allie kind of read it into it wrong. Maybe she did, but yeah, Kody and Tom like exploding at each other at the end of the episode too. It's just so funny how Kody and Lala like could see between the lines that something was going on between them. And Lala said that none of this stuff has been edited yet. Like nothing has been re-edited from the show to make you believe that Tom and that Sandoval and Raquel were together, which is crazy to me because this would have been the narrative now.
It's so interesting for so many reasons, especially because of the history of this show. Like I think about when, the Kristen Jack stuff came out, the way I was watching it, at least, like it was a reveal when you find out it was actually true on the show. Whereas here we're watching it back with like hindsight's 2020 with Easter eggs and stuff. And I can't decide. I think it's so fun, but I also think how crazy would it be for us to watch all of this, them deny tonight, and then like find out at the reunion that it was actually true the whole time. Would be mind-blowing, but in this way, it's also interesting. I just remember when this broke 2 months ago, I didn't think this was going to be like a thing on the show. So it's pretty nuts that this was back in September and they were able to keep it going some way secretively because the cast genuinely was shocked on March 1st when it came out. So it's an interesting way to watch TV for sure.
It really is. And it makes me think that maybe producers knew more than because they're editing it this way. I mean, I feel like producers may have known that something definitely was going on between Tom and Raquel. I don't know.
They hear everything.
They do. They hear everything. They're mic'd up everywhere. So I don't know. Maybe they heard something at Scheana's wedding that like they're not letting on, but it
kind of feels like they had to. I mean, again, Raquel, Tom, they're not great actors. They're not great liars. They're no stars here, but I think it's so shocking. And, you have someone like Scheana who believes the best in everyone, despite maybe being told otherwise over the years. And that's just like her character on the show and in real life. And it makes amazing TV. But our other whistleblower that I didn't see coming was Ken Todd.
Oh my God. Did not see this coming. The preview for next week when Ken says that Raquel slept over Tom and Ariana's house when Ariana wasn't there with Tom. Like, first of all, how did Ken know this? And
who told Ken?
Who told Ken of all people? Like, this was like, give me a goodbye, Kyle moment for Ken. Like, this was just amazing. I can't believe. And then Katie's face is like, what? I can't believe this. Like, you can't go on denying it now. Like, I would not feel comfortable with my husband sleeping or having a sleepover with one of my friends.
It's shocking that, again, to think this is September and we get all the way till March 1st for Ariana to actually find out what has been happening this whole time. And I guess it's just like, we're a close cast. This is weird. Yeah. Tom Sandoval's always had like something a little, off about him. I don't know. And like Raquel seemingly was this doughy-eyed girl who needed guidance. And I guess, they've teased this scene that's going to happen in the finale between Ariana and Raquel that's so shocking. And it must be maybe Ariana finally asking after being like, there's just no way. And Raquel finding it in her to lie to her face. Like, it's so shocking.
This whole season is just so mind-blowing. I feel like we could talk about this for like hours and hours and hours, but there is Summer House is also on. What are your thoughts on Summer House this season? Because like you kind of said before, it just feels like there's such a disconnect this season. Like I'm not feeling it. I can't get into it.
It's so weird because I've thought about it so much and I've tried to be like, what would I do if I was like the cast and people of Summer House? Because there is something to be said for, a couple years ago, Vanderpump Rules wasn't very good. And we were watching Tom bury a lizard. You know what I mean? But there was something like, I don't want to get rid of these people from my lives. Like, it's not that I don't want to see Kyle and Amanda or Carl and Lindsay or Paige. I just don't want to see them in this house because it doesn't make sense. These married, engaged couples would be here doing any, like, just in this house partying in the Hamptons. Like, it just doesn't make sense. You can tell their heart isn't in it. And I think that the scenes in New York are honestly more compelling. Last week when we were watching Danielle and Lindsay fight at that housewarming party, that felt real to me. And I also am a little disappointed because I'm not like the biggest Lindsay stan. And not that I'm like wishing bad things for anyone, but when I found out that her and Danielle were on the rocks, I was like, oh, this is going to be really interesting. Because I always kind of felt like Paige and Sierra and Amanda got a bad rep as like mean girls because they maybe didn't always get along with Lindsay. And in my eyes, it's like, okay, there's three of them, one of her, like maybe there's something we're not seeing about Lindsay. And maybe if Danielle was shedding light on it, it would make more sense. Like there was something off. But the way it's airing, it really does just kind of look like Danielle's jealous. And that's like not cool. Like I understand her feeling left out, but like she does a better job talking to to Carl about her feelings than she does with Lindsay.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I agree with you. Mandy and I kind of talked about this last week as well. Like the scenes in the city are much more compelling. I feel like they should make their own the city and just follow these people in their normal everyday lives. Like we don't need to see them having a theme party every single weekend when, you know, Kyle and Carl, you know, they're all like, you know, pushing 40, married, you know, kind of moving on with their lives. It's just not realistic anymore. But yeah, the whole Danielle thing, it definitely seems like more of like a jealousy issue or having a hard time just kind of coming to grips that two of her really good friends are taking the next step in their relationship. But it comes off very strange to me, especially because she moved so quickly in her relationship. So why is she, and they're happy. It's not like Carl is a bad guy, like cheating on her and not like Lindsay's doing the same thing. They both just seem like they're in a really happy, good place and ready to take the next step in their lives. So it's very strange that her best friend isn't supportive of that.
Yeah. And even like just the editing of all of it is confusing because you see them a little almost like excited that they're fighting. And like, that's just like not whatever. But then I think like if I was in the summer house and there was people fighting and I'm on a reality show that's supposed to have drama, I'd probably be listening too. Right. So it's like, I get it, but there's something about it. I think it just comes down to the format doesn't work with these people. Yeah. Like you're not going to like be rooting. Also, no one wants everyone to get along because then what are we watching? Right. So I think they're just at a weird crossroads with the show. But then I also think about Vanderpump, and if they cut all these people and hired new people at SUR and we followed them, we'd be missing out on Sandoval. Mm-hmm. So sure. I don't really know what they do, but it's definitely not the most compelling thing to watch. I'll say that.
I do like Corey and Sam. I feel like maybe they are kind of like the future of Summer House, and maybe that, but I don't know. I'm not totally invested in them either. I don't know. It's just something isn't clicking this season.
Yeah, I agree. I think Sam and Corey are interesting. I think they could definitely build something around them. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I don't know if I need two shows with these people, but I'm not ready to get rid of them necessarily. So I really don't know what's next. But I do think that the Corey and Sam thing is a plot twist, and I didn't think I would care. But I know that you spoke to him recently, and he also had some other interesting things to say.
Yeah, definitely. He spoke about his relationship with Sam and how he thought at first that maybe this was a summer fling. Clearly it wasn't. And he also gave an update on where Carl and Kyle stand today. So take a look. Paige said that you and Sam were just kind of like a fun summer fling. Did you think at the time that that's just kind of what it was?
You know, kind of at first. I mean, I think the first time like meeting her, you know, hearing about she had a whole roster of guys and stuff. And like, you know, I didn't want to I don't jump into things head first and be like, okay, we made out. That means like we have to be a boyfriend, girlfriend, you know, because in my mind, I'm like, we're long distance. So like, let's just kind of keep it super casual and not putting pressure on it. And if it's a summer fling, awesome. I met a really cool girl, but I kind of want to see how, you know, it goes after the summer ends. So I think at first I 100% thought it was going to be a little fling because, you know, we're very similar in like having rosters and just like doing our own thing. So I didn't want to have expectations, but the more weeks that we spent together, it kind of, you know, just progressed naturally into a little bit more serious. So
how are Carl and Kyle? It seems like they are on better terms. And do you think that like it was the right idea for Carl to leave Loverboy, you know, to kind of, you know, maybe salvage his friendship as well?
Yeah. So, you know, I've hung out with both of them fairly recently, actually, and they're good. They're kind of like rebuilding what they had, and which is really good to see. When you hire one of your best friends, which I've done in the past, it's hard to separate friendship from like business. And it's like, hey, I love you as a friend, but business wise, we're not doing well. So let's separate that. And it gets so cloudy to do that. And I think he had to leave to salvage that friendship, because if he would have stayed, he might've been a stay for another year. But then when he did leave, I think it would have been like Lindsay and Danielle, where they're just like, I don't want to talk to you anymore, and this is done. So I think it was kind of mature to do that at this point to get to be friends again. So it's good to kind of see that kind of like slowly coming back. And I think they'll get back to being, you know, BFFs very soon. So,
I hope so. Yeah. It seems like Carl and Kyle are working on their friendship and seem to be back on track. So good for them. So we'll see what happens. But all right, moving on to our social spotlight of the week. We discussed which cast member caught our attention. Mine goes to Ariana because she took a girls' trip over to London with Kody and a couple other people for a wedding. And she's just, like we said, kind of living her best life.
Yeah, honestly, we all want good things for Ariana. It's as simple as that.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for filling in this week. I love talking Vanderpump with you. We can do it all day long.
Literally all day long. But anytime you need me, I'm here.
All right. Well, that is it for this week's episode. Keep commenting, keep subscribing, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
For more news, content, and exclusive interviews, make sure to hit the sub, like, and bell button down below and visit usmagazine.com.